When building a computer, there are a couple questions that you need to ask yourself. The first one being is, what is your budget? What are you willing to spend? Um, PC parts can be very expensive, so if you have a budget set up for yourself, it'll help you pick your parts to stay within your range. The second question is, what are you using the computer for? So if you're using the computer for gaming, are you using it for 3D editing or 3D rendering, sorry, are you using it for video editing? Is it just a computer for simple internet browsing? Depending on what you're using the computer for, it'll help you decide on what parts you want to use. It'll also kind of give you an idea of where you can save money to stay within your budget. So let's say you're building a computer for gaming. You want to build a gaming PC. Um, Ask yourself what your budget is. If your budget is around $800 to $1,000, you're gonna be looking for budget-friendly parts because gaming PCs are kind of expensive. The parts are really expensive, but you can build a budget gaming PC. So let's say you're around $800 to $1,000. You're going to be looking for a 6-core CPU. You could probably find a good CPU for gaming around $200. Ryzen 7 2700X, for example, that's like $200. And then you're gonna want a minimum of 8 GB of RAM, but it's recommended 16 GB. You can find a good pack of 16 GB of RAM for like $80. Then you need to you're gonna want a graphics card, a GPU. A good budget GPU would be like a 1070, GTX 1070. That I use, you could probably find one of those around $200 as well. So that leaves a lot of room left over for a case, fans, other things like solid state drive, Windows operating system, stuff like that. But let's say you're looking for a rendering build, okay? So with a rendering computer, you're gonna want a more powerful CPU. So a good rendering CPU would be like the Ryzen 7 3700X. It's a 8-core 16-thread CPU. It's really good for workstations rendering. It's fast. You're also gonna want a good amount of RAM. So 32 GB. Speed matters. So 32 GB of like 3600 megahertz RAM. Corsair Vengeance. That's like, you can get 32 GB of Corsair Vengeance RAM, 3600 megahertz, for around $200. And then a graphics card comes into play. So with the graphics card, it will benefit you to get a powerful graphics card. I know NVIDIA graphics cards has an encoder they use to help with rendering, so it takes some stress off of your CPU. So, for example, I have a RTX 2080 graphics card. They have that encoding system that whenever I do video editing and stuff like that, it speeds up the process and takes a lot of the load off of my CPU. So that runs you like $800. So when you're building a rendering PC, it's kind of expensive, depending on what you want. If you want a powerful rendering PC, you're looking at like $2,000, around $2,000. If it's an internet browsing PC, however, you don't really need you don't need the craziest of parts because it's really not that demanding. So you could find an Intel i3 processor for like $120, and then you could get 4 GB of RAM because internet browsing really doesn't require much RAM. So you could build an internet browsing computer for around $200-300, and you'd be fine. You don't need a graphics card for internet browsing, so that saves you a lot of money there. So that's just a little bit of what you should think about and what you should look into when you're building a computer for yourself. pretty much just ask yourself those questions. What are you using the computer for, and what is your budget? This should help you decide when you're choosing your parts and what you should go with, where you could save some money and where you could put some money towards something else. So yeah.